Hello and welcome to Australian Chess. Today I have the honour of playing one of my subscribers. We'll be playing a 15 plus 10 game. He's sent me a challenge here. So I'll accept that. This is Alan. So I just want to say before we start, thanks very much to Alan to agreeing to play me in a game. And I want to say good luck, Alan. Let's see how we go. He starts with e4. Let's play a Sicilian. Okay, I wonder if he's going to go for a Grand Prix attack. Let's play a flexible move. He does indeed. Generally speaking, a good way to meet the Grand Prix attack is to play d5, so that you have the d5 c5 setup against e4 f4. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And this was the reason why I played e6. To support d5. Just so that after takes, so that after takes, I could recapture with a pawn. Okay, he's staying flexible. I could take, he can take back. And then maybe I could follow up with knight f6. Perhaps takes. That looks okay for me. I could push. And where would he go? Here? That's somewhat tempting. I could also just play here. He might push then. And then it'll be an advanced French type structure. I think taking is probably a good idea. Just removing one of the strong center pawns for white. One thing I need to look out for is bishop b5. I think at the moment I'm okay. I'll just block like this. And I think here I can just follow up with the line that I was suggesting at the start. I think in this position, the pawn at f4, it just feels a bit misplaced. I think you'd rather have the pawn on f2 here. Similarly, the pawn on c5 perhaps is better on c6, like in some Scandinavian positions. But I think it's not too bad on c5 as well, because it does plan to meet d4 by taking. So I think overall I quite like my position already. I'll be looking to play bishop e7 and castles. At some point I might play a6, b5, develop my bishop out here. I wonder if white can somehow increase the pressure on this pawn, but unlikely given the fact that I'm attacking his knight at the moment. Okay, this move does not seem right at all. Mainly because I can play h6 and I really don't see what white has gained. h6 is a desirable move for me. Because in the event of me castling, then I will have some an escape square, some loft for my king. And there's no sacrifice that works. So really, he just has to go back here now. which is really not ideal. I can't really take advantage of it tactically. It's just more of a case of this knight it's on the rim. As they say, knights on the rim are dim. They're just not ideal pieces. You want your knights in the middle of the board. Anywhere in these 16 squares, if a knight is anywhere here, then it will have 8 places that the knight can jump to. Whereas on the side of the board, if a knight is here, it can only jump to four spots. And so the mobility of the knight, the squares that the knight controls, is a lot less on the side of the board. So I imagine that Alan is considering sacrificing. Okay, I think this is perhaps more valid than I initially gave it credit for, because after king takes and then knight here, the light squares around my king are quite weak, so I'll have to tuck my king back in. Fortunately for me, my knight covers this square. Okay, so he does go for it. So this will be an interesting game. And I think I can just tuck my king back. I mean, I could also consider going to one of these two squares. But I don't really see that as necessary. The only consideration is knight here, and then rook up, bishop out. That does seem a little bit awkward. Okay, king here, knight here, rook up, bishop out. Let's say I develop my knight. He can win an exchange in that line. If I play king here, bishop here, takes, that's fine for me. King here, knight here, rook here. Yeah, maybe I keep my king on e8. Oh, I really don't like the idea of that though. Every time I've played with my king in the center of the board, it has not ended well. I really need to find a way to trade off this knight as soon as I can. So I'm looking to play, one of these moves as quickly as I can. The problem with king here, which is the move that I would normally want to do, is after knight here, my rook is going to fall after these moves. I don't see a way of saving it. Because in this position, after these moves that I've just highlighted, I can't challenge the knight straight away. I need a couple of moves to get my bishop in, for example. And so if, for example, king here, knight here, rook here, bishop here, then at the very least, if white wants, white can take my bishop, and then after I recapture, white can take my rook here. And yes, I'll take the bishop, but in that line, white wins in exchange. Maybe that's not too bad for me, because then white doesn't have any attacking pieces left. And I am already up a knight. The alternative is I can try and keep my king in the center, if I play king here, let's say white plays bishop here. I don't really know what white does. Like, what's the plan? d4? I just take. King here. If knight here, then I can play rook here, and then there's no... Well, actually, the knight being there is still annoying, right? I guess it is annoying there, but my king, in a way, my king feels safer here. Ideally, I would like to get my bishop out on this diagonal, but that's not possible at the moment. And so my light squares around here just feel super weak. And so tucking my king back here is actually, I don't know, I feel like I might get checkmated at some point. Alright, I'm gonna make it interesting. Tuck my king down here. This might be something that I regret at a later point. But at least this way I'm not losing an exchange by force. And yeah, somehow my king feels safer already. Okay, this move... Yeah, I don't think it's all that scary. Okay, if I play knight here, that would be a very big mistake because of queen here. If I play knight here, that might not be a bad choice actually. It does double my pawns, but it gets rid of this strong piece here. Oops, sorry. I would like to play knight here, but I think white can just take here. Oh, you know what else I could play? Queen here. I guess white can just play here. But the thing is, it stops white from castling, at least temporarily. I could play a6. It feels very slow. But also, what does white do next? Okay, let's say castles. b5. Bishop, well, bishop can't go here because then I have c4. So a6, castles, b5, bishop here. I don't like having so many pawn pushes here and not having my pieces developed. I think what I really need at this stage is just to get my pieces out. Okay, this is actually a move I should have considered already. I think this is the most logical move actually. If d4, I can take, queen takes. I can take here and the queens are eyeing each other. I can't do that. Oh, can I? Yes, I think I can. I was scared of some knightfall, but I think in that line I've already taken it. So bishop here, pawn push, takes. Oh. Takes. Takes, takes. Knight here. Oh, it's a bit scary. Knight here, bishop takes. Knight takes. Pawn takes. Bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes. That looks okay. I do lose a pawn, but he's already down a piece. So, oops, sorry. Knight here, bishop takes. Knight takes. Pawn takes. Bishop takes. Pawn takes, queen takes. Yeah, that's fine. And if knight here, knight here, bishop takes, knight takes, bishop takes here. then I have the option of moving my knight or taking the bishop, and I think I'll be okay. So yeah, I'm gonna go for this. It does lose a pawn, but I think more importantly, it attacks his central knight, and it gets one of my pieces developed. I think pushing my pawns here is just too slow. And I'll be looking to get my king to safety somewhere. I can't castle, unfortunately. Okay, so he does play knight here now. That makes sense. I guess I should move my rook. But if I move my rook here, then bishop takes works quite well. Although, no, there's no queen here, unfortunately. So maybe I play rook here, bishop here. Ooh. Good move, good move. Okay. Another option, I can just play knight here. If knight takes, then I take here, and this knight may get trapped on the corner. May not, but at least this way I've got rid of the scary piece. I think I'd better go for that. I just need to get my pieces out. And the problem was, I didn't like any of the lines with rook here, rook here. So let's say it takes. Oh, is it a blunder? I might have just blundered. Bishop check. Oh, oh no. Bishop check. What am I doing after bishop check? Can I run my king? Takes, king here. Knight moves back. I'm just down a rook. I don't think I can do that. After bishop check, bishop here. Takes, takes here. Can I go on the attack maybe? Okay, bishop check, king here, takes, king here, knight here. At least my king is safe there, but I'm down an exchange and a pawn. I can play a6, which would force bishop here, let's say. Alternatively, after bishop here, takes. Okay, he takes a pawn. That line is nowhere near as threatening, because I can simply take. And then after takes, well, for example, bishop here. Actually, yeah, that's just winning, I think. So I'm very glad to see this. Okay, the only thing, bishop here, queen here. Knight here? I mean, sorry, king here? Yeah, but then there's knight check. Okay, so maybe it's not so clear cut. I think I have to start with this. Yeah, good move, good move. King here. Check. I don't like that. King here. Takes. Yeah, I think I have to go for that. Now at least I can play bishop here, if knight takes rook. There is this move I can play here. Alan could do a fancy trade by doing queen takes bishop, king takes queen, and then knight f7 check in this line. Maybe I just keep my bishop on e6 after knight takes, and then I can play... I would love to get my rook here. That would be fantastic if I could arrange that, but I don't know if I could do that. Maybe after knight takes I can move my queen here first, just to kind of take away these two squares for the knight and make it trickier for him to escape. And then... and then maybe I can play bishop develop somewhere, attack the knight, and then win the knight back. I think Alan is looking at this move. Okay. If I play here and pawn push, takes, and then we trade. Here, I'm not sure if I'm trapping the knight. Okay, if I move my bishop now, knight out, queen here, then he always has knight here. If I play queen here attacking this pawn, then just knight out. I'm going to start with this as planned, just to cut off these squares for the knight. I expect Alan to castle maybe? If I play bishop here though, that way at least we avoid the queen trade. So I think he might have to play this just to force the queens off. Although maybe after pawn push, bishop takes, queen takes, I can take with the king, which is a bit of a weird move. But at least that way both of these squares would be cut off. But let's say castles, attacking my bishop. Bishop here. I don't like it. So pawn push, takes. Maybe I don't take. Pawn push, bishop here. No, I have to take, because that square becomes available. Okay, pawn push. Oops, sorry. Pawn push, takes. Queen takes. Rook takes, check. King, let's say here. And the problem is, if I move my bishop out, then there's knight here. I could play knight here. Oh, sorry, bishop there. And then there's still no squares for the knight to escape to. Whoa! Okay, I did not see that move coming. What if I just sidestep? Okay, so he's getting the queens off this way. Good move, good move. Well played. But I don't know if it's actually good. Because now I have discovery. Okay. And if I play bishop here... Oh, okay. Huh. I wish I could play bishop here, check. Unfortunately, I can't. So queens are off. I have the two minor pieces for the rook, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. Okay, I could play bishop here. Gives this square available. But at least I'm on the pawn. I want to play this, but he'll play this so quickly. And then here, and then he just jumps his knight into a great square, and then my pawn move doesn't do anything. I'll start with this. So although technically he's up by 1 point, the trade of rook and pawn for bishop and knight tends to always favor, or maybe 90% of the time, favor the side that still has the bishop and the knight, or the two minor pieces. Alan has an extra pawn here, so that probably balances it out pretty evenly. But I have to say, I quite like the pieces that I have at the moment. Okay, that's interesting. If I play bishop here, knight here, okay, that's not great. I could just play pawn push now, and now this is actually a threat. Yep. He has to play knight here, and then I can just take. So I get my pawn back. And my pieces are coming to life here. I have the two bishops. My knights. This knight is not superb. This knight is pretty good. And actually, there might be some tactics lurking around the corner. Okay, I do have to be a bit careful of my time. I only have 2 minutes left. But I might be looking for ideas of bishop out with a check, and then knight coming in with ideas of knight f2. And if king comes back here, then I might have some discovery ideas somewhere. Unleashing a check. If he wants to save his knight, he has to play knight here now. After which I'll play bishop here, king over, knight here. Oh, he doesn't want to save his knight. Interesting. I'm tempted just to play knight here straight away. But I can always do that next move. I also have knight here with the same plan. Okay, I'm gonna get my rook back. Okay, that was a mistake. I should have just gone in. Yeah, I shouldn't have allowed that. But that's okay. I still very much like my position. Knight here at some point will be very strong. If I play bishop here, there's a fork. So I think I just have to go for the bishop trade. I think the more pieces that come off, the better for me. Could be wrong. But I have more pieces on the board. And the reason why I say that is because there's the option of rook here, after which I'll take, takes, 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 and then I can take this pawn. Knight here. That looks pretty good. Adding another defender here and also attacking this pawn. If pawn push, I don't know, can I get away with this? Takes, probably not. Oh, if pawn push I can take here though. Okay, so it takes. Probably take with the rook. Taking with the knight also looks strong. So I'm on this pawn twice. Again, if he pushes, then I can take here. And I'll be looking to play knight here, maybe bishop here. Knight here perhaps. If rook attacks, oh, well, can't do that at the moment actually. I might play rook here, knight here. Okay. Knight here is probably a good move. Knight here is probably also good. Just go here. Might be looking for rook here, knight here. Not sure if it does much. But I'm also attacking this pawn here. How do I get a knight here? Like this. Now also double attacking this square. You might be looking for g4. But after g4, I can play check. King moves here, let's say. I can take. And whichever minor piece he takes, I can move the other one. And then that'll be a win of an exchange for me. So I think he has to react to the threat of the fork here. Maybe by playing rook here, or moving the king. Moving the king makes sense. Just getting out of any knight jumps in the future. Should I bother playing this? Maybe. I like my bishop there. Ah, you know what my plan is? h4, knight g3, and then at some point I'm getting a rook here. That would be a nice end to the game. I don't think that'll ever happen. However, even just playing pawn push and knight g3, then I can play bishop to e4, rook e2, and that's another checkmate right there. So I think h4 is a very strong move. Also note that after h4 there is no g4. Well, there is, but I can take it en passant. Okay. I think I'll continue with my plan. He might still need to play... Oh, actually, if he plays g4... Can I play rook check? He can block. I don't really have a follow-up check. So I think after g4 I'll just take... And he can't even recapture, so... Knight jump in here? Why not? There's no threat. I can take with either the rook or the bishop if he takes my knight. And I think next I'll play bishop here, maybe knight here. Unfortunately, there's no way for me to get a check going. If I can bring my knight over here, that would be very pleasant. How do I get this knight here? There are 2 squares diagonally away from each other, which means it takes 4 moves. Oh, I can take this pawn. Didn't notice that. I could, for example, play knight here, knight here. Actually, after knight here, then I'm also taking this pawn. I think I'll just start with bishop here. I can take this pawn whenever I want. There's no way that white can defend it because both these squares are guarded by my knights. And if he pushes, then I can just take. It's very hard for white to move here. Maybe white will go for a stalemate idea at some point. Okay, and take the pawn. Attack this guy. I wonder if I have any cool checkmates that I can do. If I play rook here, rook takes, knight takes. I don't love that. If I play knight takes, rook takes, bishop takes, rook takes, rook here, rook blocks. There's nothing there. If I play knight here, then I'm attacking this rook. So the rook might move here. There's not much there either. Not really sure how to continue this. I want to get my knight here. How do I do that? Not sure. I kind of need to move. Maybe I'll play bishop here. I don't think this is the best move. But my idea is simple. Just to get this knight here, and then maybe I can recycle the knight by putting it here. Actually, that does look pretty strong, now that I think about it. I might start with knight here, even. Okay, so he's over defending that. Let's just play a move. Stop him from getting any play. He wants a rook trade. Can I play this? I can just play this. Everything is defended. My bishop is defended by my knight. My knight is defended by my pawn. He probably has to take here. Because otherwise I have bishop here and then just crashing through on g2. Oh. Oh, surely. Surely not. Oh, there are some checkmates coming down. Okay, knight takes. If rook takes, then I can take here at the very least. Perhaps there's something better. Knight takes. Oh, this is gonna get so fun. Knight takes. Bishop here to start with. Yeah, why not? This is not going to end well for Alan. Let me just say that. I have 47 seconds. With a 10-second increment, I think I can pull off a checkmate here. Okay. So I have check, takes. That's a bit boring. Surely I have something better. Bishop takes? That doesn't work. Oh, come on. Surely there's something here. Problem is I can just move my... Oh, okay, I'll move my rook here. And the point is, if rook here, then I can take here. And again, the bishop is defended. And my idea is just to play knight takes here. Okay, he's going for this. Oh. And he resigns. Ah, he didn't let me finish it off. Rook takes here was checkmate. Alan, thanks very much for the game. I will also say good game. Well played. Let's analyze that. That was a very interesting game. With the knight sacrifice at the start. I think I did not handle it very well, I don't think. So yeah, as I was saying at the start, it's good to have d5 and c5 in to counter-attack, or to, I guess, to nullify a little bit the attack the white has. This is called the Grand Prix attack in the Sicilian. And if you compare it to a Scandinavian, it's pretty similar actually. So Scandinavian opening is when you play e4, d5, after which these pawns get traded. And you might get a position something like this, where black has a pawn structure on the light squares. It's a pretty passive position for black, but it's very solid. It's very hard to break. And so if you compare that with what we got in the game, it's a similar type of position. But instead of pawns being on c6 and e6, as it was in the Scandinavian position I just showed, the pawns are on e6 and c5, so that's debatably not ideal for black. But I think more importantly is the fact that this f pawn is on f4 instead of f2, where you'd really want it in the Scandinavian. Debatably, white has some more active pieces as, I guess, compensation for that. So I guess that's describing a little bit of the opening and trying to compare it to some other openings. Yeah, this idea of sacrificing is, well, I don't know, maybe it deserves more credit than I was giving it. Because as I said, I didn't play very well, I don't think. After h6, he sacrificed a knight for a piece. But then these light squares of mine come under attack, and this pawn, I guess it's defending some of my light squares, but at the same time it's stopping my bishop from getting into play very easily. There's always ideas I need to keep in the back of my mind of queen coming in, bishop coming in this way, and then knight here as well. It's a very interesting idea. So he played knight in to start off with, which I think was a good move. Probably I should have played king here, given what happened in the game. The reason why I didn't is because I was scared of this move, knight g6, after which I'd move my rook, because my rook was under attack by the knight. And then the move bishop d3. I didn't like this, because I can't really attack the bishop with any of my pieces. I can play c4, yes, but, well, actually maybe this line is not too bad. I mean, when you're calculating something, you don't want to go into a line where your only option is to sacrifice a pawn. But my point is, if I don't play c4, let's say I develop a piece, then white can simply just take the bishop with the knight, I recapture, and then we get this trade here. And if we do an evaluation of the pieces, I have 3 minor pieces. White has 1, but white has an extra rook. And so we get an imbalance like what happened in the game, where it was 2 minor pieces for a rook. And I didn't want to go into this because I thought this was a bit of a concession. I thought I could do better, so I played king e8. But I think, and as I was playing it, I was saying, I'm probably going to regret this a bit later on. And yeah, in retrospect, I do regret it. I think what would have been better is to play king g8, just getting the king to safety. And if this line happened of knight g6 and rook h7, bishop d3, then I can try this move here, just to distract the bishop from this diagonal temporarily. After which bishop takes. And if I can play my knight out, bishop comes back, and then I can attack the bishop here. So that if it takes, I can at least take the bishop out with check, forcing him to recapture, and then I don't lose my rook. So I think I like that line a lot better than yeah, what happened in the game. So king e8, trying to hang on to material. Bishop c4, good move. If bishop b5 here, then I was just planning on blocking. And then if the trades happen, then I'm perfectly happy. I'm simply just up a piece, and there's no problem. So I wasn't concerned about bishop b5 here. Bishop c4 is a stronger move because it eyes the pawn, it prepares castling, and yeah, it just really continues the attack while also getting a piece out. So here I played knight bd7. I was considering knight c6, which I think is slightly more active, but it does allow this double isolated pawn. So in chess, you generally want to avoid isolating your pawns, and so having a double isolated pawn is generally a bad idea. I could have gone for this, but I'm not a huge fan. My bishops, especially this bishop here, is going to have a hard time getting out. This bishop will just dominate my own light square bishop. So yeah, I could have gone for that, but I didn't particularly like it. I chose knight bd7 instead. Now my opponent goes for knight g6, which I think is also a good move. He's playing a lot of good moves here. And it was at this stage that I decided, okay, I have to give up an exchange. I can't really continue playing this by holding onto material. So the reason is, if I played rook over, trying to save my rook, then there was bishop takes here, and my rook is dead anyway. There's no way for my rook to move. There's no way I can capture the bishop. I can't play queen e7 because the knight is covering that square. And if I try rook h7, then again there's this move bishop d3. And again, it just comes into the same problems. Although, arguably, I still have this move that I could try. With the same idea of attacking the bishop, and now my knight is more developed than it was, so perhaps this would have worked. That would have been an interesting try. Regardless, after knight g6, I decided to give the exchange up. And it was at this point that I realized I'd actually made a big blunder, and luckily I think my opponent didn't see it. The simple check, which does a couple of things. Firstly, it gets out of this threat of knight takes bishop, and secondly, it throws a tempo against my king, which would force me to react to the check as opposed to moving my rook, which is what I would want to do. So here I was thinking I could play either bishop blocks or king up. So if bishop blocks, then white could take, and again that's with a check, so I have to respond to that. And let's say queen takes, and then I'm simply down a rook. I did win a knight before, so I'd be down in exchange. The other line I was looking at was, instead of blocking with the bishop, I could play king here, trying to go after this knight, but I'm not sure if it really worked. My king would be safer on g8 for sure, but I would just lose a rook. So again, I would be down an exchange here. Luckily for me, Alan didn't play this, but I think I would have been in quite a bit of trouble if he did. Instead, he played an interesting move here. Bishop takes e6. The idea is he's thinking he's going to lose the piece anyway, so may as well get a pawn for it, which is fair enough. So I take the piece, and here, if he had gone straight in for the rook, I think that would have been a huge mistake because of this move, bishop g4. Attacking the queen, if the queen takes, then my knight will recapture. So, the queen would have to move, but there is nowhere for the queen to run to. This is the only way for the queen to get out. And so the queen would actually be dead in this scenario. I was hoping he would go for that and then it would be a quick game, but no, he spotted this. And he played a really good move here. I think he had already calculated this when he played bishop takes e6. He had planned what to do if I took his bishop. And that was queen e2. Now he's not only attacking my rook, but he's attacking my bishop as well. At this point, I'm up 2 minor pieces, but he's going to win at least one of them back, maybe even more. Here I decided to defend my bishop by moving my king out, and the reason I chose this move is because A, it gets out of the pin, and B, it defends the bishop. It's always good in chess to play moves that have multiple purposes. So I moved my king out and defended the bishop. And here, did he take? Yeah, he took. Okay, so that was a good move. Now the imbalance is 2 minor pieces for a rook. Generally speaking, that favors the side for the two minor pieces. And also in this case, it's quite possible that the knight won't escape. If I can guard these 2 squares successfully, then chances are I can win the knight, in which case it'll be 3 minor pieces for a rook, which is definitely winning for the side with the minor pieces. So that's why I played queen here, just to guard these squares still. And here I was expecting the move f5, which would force me to, as I was calculating in the game, it would force me to take this pawn, after which white could trade queens, and then the knight can escape here. Sorry. I think my internet is being a bit slow. It would force the knight to jump here. And I was calculating that the knight would still have no squares to go. All of these squares are covered. So that was an interesting line that I was considering. Alan played an alternate line that had a similar idea. Played queen here to get the queens off. I moved my king over. We traded queens. And now the problem is he would like to play knight g6 to get his knight out and, you know, away to safety. But I think he was scared of bishop discovery check. The point being that my rook is eyeing the white king, and if I move my bishop anywhere, then that'll be a check. So for example, I could take a pawn if I wanted to, and that would be check. Alternatively, I could move my bishop here, attack the knight, and that would be check as well. This is what I was calculating. However, I realize now that Alan does have a defensive option here to both save the knight and to block the check. And this looks perfectly fine. Maybe I have this move. The point being white can't take because then the defense of the knight would go. But I think white would be fine with just this. So again, another interesting option there. Regardless, Alan castles to get out of the discover check. I play bishop f5, again expecting the knight to come out to f7 and then into e5. Also attacking this pawn. Alan defends the pawn by playing d3, also opens up the bishop to get out. But here I have a bit of a tactical trick that Alan doesn't notice. And the idea of this is both to put pressure on these pawns here, but more substantially to open up this square here on c5 so that my bishop can come out, and finally I can take the knight. So I think it was at this point that Alan really needs to play knight f7 to get the knight out, after which, yes, I can take here and I win a pawn, but at least his knight is free, and the knight can be very strong on this square. Well, okay, but maybe not immediately because I'm attacking his rook, but let's say, for example, that something like this happens. Yeah, I can take the rook again, bishop comes back, and then we might get a position like this. However, Alan is only concerned at this point with protecting his pawns, doesn't really notice the trick that I set up. So he plays d takes c4. Yeah, and then I can win his piece. And at this stage, it's 3 minor pieces for the rook. He's definitely winning for black, and it's a matter of conversion from here. I was hoping to go for some idea of knight here, and let's say he does something inconsequential. I can play knight here, and then maybe go for some discover check. I don't know if I have any particularly good ones. Maybe I'll just go for here, and then win a pawn. But that's always fun, to play discover check in a game. However, the point of c3 is to prepare b4, and then my bishop has to get off the diagonal. So I didn't particularly anticipate that in the game, but things turned out alright. I played my rook over just to get it back in the game. b4, offered a trade of bishops, and then my pieces just come soaring in. This pawn here is very strong, actually, because it stops these 2 pawns from moving. And the idea is, if g4, then I can take en passant. So that would be bad. And same with g3. So this pawn, I guess this pawn structure, where one pawn is on the edge, and then the other pawns are like this pattern here, is one to keep in mind. It's a way for you to, I guess, gain some positional advantage. Alan does try to survive a little bit, but I just have too many minor pieces, and he can't survive. He even gives up a rook here, but I would rather just keep my pieces because they're very strong at the moment. And the reason I chose my rook here is, as what happened in the game, if rook here, then I can just take it off. If I played my rook to any other square, let's say here, then Alan would have just played this and tried to get some rook trade in, which is why I chose this square in particular. Yeah, and here Alan resigned. I had 2 ideas. One could have been this one, to follow with this lovely checkmate here, but I actually just had a checkmate in one after rook takes, and that would have been this. So yeah, thanks very much to Alan for giving me the honor of playing him, and for agreeing to be on my stream. I really appreciate that. Maybe we can play again sometime, Alan. We'll see. But more importantly, if anyone else wants to play me, I'm very much open to challenges. You can contact me on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. Leave a comment in any of those. And yeah, I'd love to play you. Yeah, thanks again for watching. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you around. Thanks. Bye.